Welcome in, everybody. Glad to see you on this Tuesday night. It's the Rebel Report podcast. My name is Michael Borky. Appreciate you being here. And the main question of the night, I will play you the video. Do you believe Lane Kiffin when he says that he anticipates Austin Simmons being ready to go this weekend? Again, I'll play it for you, and you can decide for yourself whether or not he's telling the truth. He's not, and we'll talk about that. So glad that you guys are here. Always appreciate you. Also, a couple of cuts of him talking about Tulane and the challenge that they present. I think he's also kind of talking to his team in these, and I will tell you. I'll tell you why, and I'll play the video for you as well. So welcome in. Glad to see you. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We got a hard cap it at 30 minutes tonight. I've got to take care of something tonight. And so I've got to get out of here sooner than usual. So I'll stop wasting your time. We'll get to the audio cuts. We'll get to your comments, and we'll get out of here. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Search for the Rebel Report wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe and leave a rating and a review. And also, this edition is brought to you in part by Toyota of Brookhaven. Check them out online at toyotaofbrookhaven.com, off of Exit 40 in Brookhaven, and they will take care of you like an actual human being, like a person, because that's what they do there. They'll also give you $1,000 off on me if you just tell them that I sent you. So if you're looking for a car buying experience that is worth your time with people that will take care of you and also get to save some money on top of it, great in-house financing, and awesome new and used selection, check them out at toyotaofbrookhaven.com. They will deliver for you. All right. Won't waste any more of your time. Here is when Lane Kiffin was asked how Austin Simmons is doing. Here is what he said.
How's he doing?
Yeah, he's doing good. I would anticipate Austin being fine to play and being our starting quarterback.
Do you believe him? A lot of things can be true at once here at the same time. Number one, first of all, what's the injury? It's obviously an ankle injury, right? But what is it? Does anybody know? That's what cracks me up about this with college football sometimes is what's the injury? Specifically, what is it? In the NFL, you know exactly what the injury is, what kind of participant they were in practice, and if they manipulate those reports at all, then you get in big trouble. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss kind of flirted with the gray area when it came to the injury report last week. But so many people, specifically people that covered Arkansas, wanted to make that a thing. And there's a couple of reasons why it's not a thing. First of all, Sam Pittman and his staff were prepared as much as they could have been for Trinidad Chambliss to be the starter. But they were prepared for that. The injury report does not change whether or not Arkansas was prepared to not see Austin Simmons. They were prepared for that. Number one. So, I mean, come on. They saw the injury happen. They watched the tape. They know that he got hurt. They were prepared for an alternative. Two, because it's not an injury report, because it's an availability report, it's funny how Lane Kiffin always finds ways to kind of go into the gray area and exploit either poorly written rules or something like that. It's an availability report. It is not an injury report. It's not a depth chart report. And whoever it was, I can't even remember, that was talking about that the SEC should fine Lane Kiffin for what? Is Greg Sankey now going to be the boss of the depth charts? He was available to play, and he did play, and he threw a touchdown pass. Was he 100%? No, but that's not what the report is supposed to indicate. It's whether or not the player is available to play on Saturday. And starting on Thursday, they knew that he was going to suit up and try to play. So they lived in that gray area where probably should have been listed as something else, but this is not the NFL. It is college football, and as a result, they were able to do that. So that can be true. Two, there is no injury report this week because it's not SEC on SEC. So why, I guess, reveal any plans to Tulane when you don't have to? That is also part of it. He could also have been talking about, and this is what I think is most likely, again, living in the gray area. I think that he is indicating that when he is healthy, Austin Simmons is the team's starting quarterback. that whenever he's good to go, he's the guy. That's how I think I interpret what he was saying. But from a is he going to start and play this weekend perspective, no, I don't believe him at all, and I do not expect Austin Simmons to play in this game. I'm not a doctor, but to go from injured and not practicing to having to play in a game in an emergency situation, re-injuring that ankle to the point where you can't even walk, and then turning around and playing this Tulane team a week later seems damn near impossible, especially when you have such a viable option in his place, more than a viable option, a great option in his place with Trinidad Chambliss. And also, at this point, there is no reason to rush him back. I said this on the radio show today. I think if you made me guess, I would guess that you see Simmons return for the Washington State game after the bye week, would be my guess. I mean, maybe he plays against LSU, but that defensive front on a bum ankle is a recipe for another re-aggravation of that injury. It looked really bad. And so I don't expect to see him Saturday. I don't think that they should fool around with this. I don't think that they should rush him back. It's clearly something that's not going to heal back to 100% in a week. Trinidad showed that you are viable without Simmons, and I think he needs to take some time off to get healthy, because trying to play on that without taking some serious time off, it just seems reckless more than anything else. So you can almost hear how unserious the tone of that is, but I truthfully, I do think that that was more of an answer about long term, that Austin Simmons is not losing his starting job. He's not healthy. If he was healthy, he'd be starting. That's how I interpret that. But it's up for you guys to debate, and we'll do that in the chat, I suppose. Now, I've got a couple of cuts of him talking about Tulane. And so it's a little long. It's almost 3 minutes. They're separated. So I got a minute 40 and then another 50 seconds. Really good stuff. You get coach speak all the time with opponents and the kind of challenge they present. I don't believe that this is coach speak at all. And the more I think about it, the more I think he might be kind of sending a message to his team as well. Tell me what you think. Here's cut one on Lane Kiffin talking about the challenge that Tulane presents.
You know, this is a really, really good football team in all phases. Made special teams plays. Obviously, they play good defense. And now with this quarterback, you know, much different than what, you know, we prepare in the offseason, you know, after spring ball for the upcoming opponent. So very rare that outside of a portal window you can get a quarterback. So that's changed a lot with them. He's looks like one of the best players in America, and they got really good scheme, and they play really hard defense. Same defensive structure and coaching than when we played Troy here. They do a great job tackling. They play really physical, and this is one of the better coached teams in the whole country.
Last night, when you alluded to the way their team tackles under a Summerall team, it just felt like it was a lost art. Is there a moment you felt like that shifted in that mentality where teams aren't really emphasizing tackling like they are?
No, I don't know when that exactly was. You know, I don't know that. That's a good question. I just feel like, you know, it sticks out now when you see a team that really tackles low, that really does a good job. Their players get dirty, you know, same by getting themselves dirty by going down and tackling play after play. I guess I would say maybe in a generation now that, you know, just wants to have a big hit and stay up and worry how clean their uniforms are and, you know, how good they look.
All right, that was part one. Here's part two of Lane Kiffin talking about Tulane.
I just think that they play really physical. It's a really defensive team. You can see it's a defensive head coach by the way how physical they play, by the way that they tackle. You can see his, you know, footprint on that. And with the quarterback now, they've become even, you know, more of a problem as a team he's so dynamic and can do so many things. I think he set school record Saturday with most rushing touchdowns or something. It's pretty amazing in your third game there. And then coming as late as he did, after the portal window was closed. So they got a really good team and really challenging, and I'm sure they were watching last week's film.
Again, there's a lot of coach speak, and I don't think anything that he said about Tulane there is coach speak at all, to be honest with you. I think it's pretty clear the sincerity in his voice, because when you watch Tulane, and I've watched him a little bit this year, not as much as I would have liked, but and what you know about John Summerall teams is they are going to be tough. They are going to be physical. They're going to be well coached. If you think that John Summerall is not going to have a great plan for what Ole Miss is trying to do offensively with Trinidad, you got another thing coming. They will not at all be intimidated by the SEC on Ole Miss's chest. They will not at all be intimidated by the environment. Now, that doesn't mean that a road environment doesn't impact results, even if a team's not quote unquote intimidated. Of course, it's always more difficult to play on the road, especially with a crowd that is lively and engaged. But they're not going to be intimidated. I know it's Northwestern and Duke, but Tulane has 2 Power 4 wins already. But the conversation, the talk about tackling, I almost thought that was a message being sent to his own team about how much better their soon-to-be opponent looks on film when it comes to tackling and doing it the right way and being physical, because Ole Miss's defense, as you guys know, was nothing like that this past weekend. They were really poor tackling. Arkansas at times was a lot more physical than they were, and this is a Tulane offense that's going to try to exploit the exact same things that Arkansas did. And if they're not ready to show up and play and be physical and all that stuff, then there's a chance that they get beat on Saturday. I think some of that praise for Tulane was also a message to his defense. Yes, Maverick wanting some love right now. He saw his little nose pop up. I feel like Kirk Herbstreit right now, but I'm not, flying my dog private. But no, I think that that's partially a message to his team that his opponent, or that their opponent, is much better in those categories than they are right now. So I think there was some of that as well. But again, the praise for Summerall is real. I think he's I'm not being hyperbolic when I say I think he's one of the best coaches in college football. And you should hope that he keeps out of the SEC for as long as possible, because I think a guy like him with resources of an SEC program, even one like a Kentucky who's not as invested in football as others, he's going to be an absolute superstar. He's an elite coach, and I'm using that word without a hint of hyperbole. He's an elite football coach, and his team is going to be ready to play in this game. Also, on Jake Retzlaff, that is a fascinating football player. You heard Kiffin talk about it, that he joined the team late and has still been really effective so far this season, despite, again, joining that team late. I think Tulane, again, is going to try to do some similar things that Arkansas did. Retzlaff's arm is not the best you've ever seen. I mean, here's numbers for what it's worth. Against Northwestern, he was 18 of 31 for 152 yards. At South Alabama, in a game that they only won by 2, he was 13 of 24 for 125 and a touchdown. And then last week against Duke, better numbers, 15 of 23 for 245. Did not throw a touchdown in the game. But here's the concern, guys. Here's the issue. Ran for 113 on 10 carries against Northwestern and a touchdown. Ran for 64 on 13 carries. That's 5 per and a touchdown against South Alabama. And then ran for 111 on 17 carries. That's 6.5 per and 4 touchdowns against Duke. And his play fake, I mean, they're going to do similar things that Arkansas did, and they're going to watch that tape. And you heard Kiffin make reference to the tape. They're going to watch that tape and try to exploit the same issues in the Ole Miss defense that Arkansas did. Ole Miss is going to have to be much more disciplined defensively in this game, because he's not Talon Green. He's not as athletic, but he is experienced. He's played in big environments, and he's tough, and he's a good runner, and he's really good at that read option, play fake stuff. He's an impressive football player. So Ole Miss is going to have to do a much better job at keeping contained, because if they keep biting for those play fakes and there's nobody there to fill in that gap, like especially in the first half against Arkansas, Ole Miss is in trouble. They are in trouble. Again, he's not Talon Green athletically, but he is an athlete. He can run. He is tough. He has played in big spots. Ole Miss has their hands full on Saturday, and I know it's in a 2-score line, but I think Lane Kiffin was being truthful. I think you have to wonder about the possibility of a look ahead to LSU, but I can't imagine if they're putting on the film and overlooking this team. They're tough, they're physical, they're well coached, and they are going to be a problem for Ole Miss on Saturday. Ole Miss has to play well to win. You can't just roll out of bed, play your C- game, and win this game. Tulane, I think, it's either them or USF, but is the best G5 team in America. I think Tulane's a playoff team. They've already got those 2 Power 4 wins anyway, but I think Tulane's a playoff team. So Ole Miss is really going to have to play well in this game if they're going to win. And so we'll see if they can. Or read your comments for the next few minutes after I tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Toyota. I already told you about Toyota Brookhaven. I got this dog. He's if I don't pet him, he'll poke me with his nose. That's what he's doing right now. I'll put my arm down, and he's just poking me. It's ridiculous. He's 10 years old, and he's still a diva. But anyway, Priority One Bank, they make you their priority every day with their online banking platform. It's a one-stop shop. All you need is an internet connection, and you can do whatever it is that you need to do with your money, because Priority One Bank makes you their priority. Also, Advantage Business Systems, if you're a Mississippi business anywhere in Mississippi and you need office technology, any kind of technology in the office, absms.com, Advantage Business Systems has got you covered. They started in Jackson, but they'll take care of you anywhere in this state. absms.com. Tell them I sent you, and they'll give you an assessment on me. It's Advantage Business Systems. What's up, my guy? What's up, Borky? Good to see you guys. James, glad to see you too. Revolution, good to see you. Got my first ever colonoscopy done in the morning. Pretty nervous. Get my first ever colonoscopy done. I have actually had one. I've got a family history of issues there, James, and it's a very simple, easy procedure. It's a little awkward, but they'll put you down before anything too bad. The prep the night before sucks. Do not eat anything spicy after. I did that, and it was brutal. I was screaming in pain because I ate spicy food later that day. I was in college. I was an idiot. So it's not that big of a deal. I promise. It's odd, but you're when as medical procedures go, there's worse ones that you could be having. Trust me. Taking Kiffin's quote to mean Austin is the starting quarterback for the team in general. Don't believe him playing this weekend. Doesn't need to either, but maybe he's an emergency play quarterback. Maybe they dress him out, but it looked really bad on Saturday. He needs to rest that for a while. Want to see the defense fired up for Tulane. They need to be. They need to be ready because, like I said, Tulane will not be intimidated, scared, whatever, by the stadium and SEC on the chest. None of that. They'll be ready to go. Austin Simmons starting is the only stunt Kiffin could have said in his press conference. Would be funny if Simmons only plays the first play to hand it off and it's Chambliss the rest of the way. Yeah. Feel like it may be a grade 2 ankle sprain from how he looked, which would be at least 3 weeks out. Well, which would line up with the timeline that I am totally 100% guessing on. I have no idea, and I'm not going to pretend to know either. That seems to make the most sense to me. 2 full weeks off and then the bye week. So 3 full weeks off before Washington State. And then you get to play Washington State to hopefully get his, just kind of get back in rhythm before he has to go to Athens. I think you guys might call me crazy. Some of our radio audience call me crazy. I think Ole Miss's ceiling is much higher with Austin Simmons at quarterback. Now, what we talked about after the game with Trinidad, he did a lot of things well, played within the system, hit his check downs, was not intimidated at all, um, did everything right. But I do think when it comes to throwing the football, he was accurate, made smart decisions. I do think they're limited with what they can do in the passing game because I just don't think he has the rocket arm, especially throwing the ball vertically the same way that Simmons does. But if Simmons is not going to protect the football, then you go with the guy that will. But you have to do it more than once. You need to see Chambliss do it again this weekend, and then if he has to play against LSU, you got to do it again there as well. He won't surprise anybody anymore. The film is out, so what will his second act look like? I'm curious to see, but I do think this team's ceiling is higher with Simmons. But if Simmons can't get to his own, then of course the team won't either. It's a very fascinating situation that Lane Kiffin and this team has found themselves in. Fascinating. And I'm curious, of course, as you guys are, to see how they handle it. But for now, it's an easy decision. One of them is hurt, so you play the other one. And then you deal with the other part of it when he's back to 100% healthy. Can't take this Tulane team lightly. No, they're good, but I actually think this is the best time to play them if they get the team locked in, which is no reason not to. I don't hate that thought at all. Arkansas presented similar problems that Tulane will, but on a much more difficult scale. I tend to think Golding and the defense will be more effective and prepared for this Tulane offense. They better be, but I tend to agree. I would be shocked, and I mean shocked, if a Pete Golding coach defense looks like that 2 weeks in a row. In the wise words of Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you. The way he limped off the field, he's not healthy. Yeah, absolutely not. It's an obvious ankle injury, but no specifics. What's the rush in getting him back for a game and risking further injury for Tulane? I'd hate for this to be a Trey Harris. Yeah. You pumped for game day in Miami? Gosh, what a joke. What an absolute joke. I'm not surprised, but disappointed. Don't know if most fans are, but I'm fully focused on this Tulane game. Maybe it's because they escaped last week, but fully taking things 1 week at a time is key for this team and fans this year. Yeah, man, and especially because it's not lip service. I mean, this is a team that I think will make the playoff. They're good, man, and so well coached. Would love for Simmons to be okay by LSU, but I wouldn't bet a penny on it. Me either. Beamer was asked something similar. He said the availability report will be out on Wednesday. Yeah, and, it's a little bit different, of course, with Sellers. It's a concussion. But there he goes. But since it's a concussion situation with him, but I think South Carolina's going to be a little bit more straightforward with their injury report, to tell you the truth. The question is with Simmons is, will he be ready for LSU? That's really the only game in the next month. They would probably need him if he could go. And not only that, I mean, would he be ready physically, but also mentally to play in that game? You just, 2 of his interceptions were not his fault. And Kiffin said that in the press conference today as well. 2 of them were not his fault. Pressure from the interior, ball sales because of it. But he does have to do a better job at protecting the football. Excited to see Chambliss play again. I'm excited to see the counterpunch that Ole Miss throws back at Tulane. Because again, Tulane's going to be ready. They're going to have a good plan. So what does Kiffin and Weiss do in preparation for Tulane's preparation, if that makes sense? What is Ole Miss's counterpunch to the counterpunch going to be? I'm very curious. Good news is they do have a good backup, more than a good backup. There are an overwhelming number of teams in college football that would kill to have their QB2 be what Chambliss delivered on Saturday. The defense getting Taylon Green last week is massive for prep, cleaning up mistakes for Retzlaff. Expect a better outcome overall. That's a very good point. Now they've known exactly how they can be exploited by an offense that's going to try to do those things. So Hope the fans aren't going to get into a Plumlee Corral argument situation. It's a complete non-starter. Simmons is the guy. Credit Kiffin and staff for getting a great backup. I agree. Simmons is QB1. Both are ideal for Lane's offense, though. Arkansas is going to cover easily against Memphis. I like that pick a lot. Tulane did play a very emotional game last week, really played well for most of it, then held on at the end. And I believe Duke missed 2 field goals, one of which was blocked as well, for whatever that's worth. I mean, that doesn't, I guess, change the result of the game, but they lost by 7 and missed 2 field goals, did Duke. But yeah, and honestly, that was a really impressive win from Tulane, considering that was the team that did steal their quarterback and pay him millions of dollars. Sold out their stadium. I don't think every seat was full, but it was sold out, and little emotions there for sure. Don't know how Memphis stops Arkansas. Hogs will win. Yeah, because they won't. Don't know if Tulane would beat Arkansas, but they're probably the most balanced offensively and defensively of the 4 teams Ole Miss has played. I agree with that last statement. I think Arkansas has a better talent profile than Tulane. I think that Retzlaff is good, but he's not green athletic. But when it comes to overall team balance, Tulane very well could be the best. I agree with that. Saw some Arkansas message boards and even Trey Biddy talking about how impressive Ole Miss's atmosphere was. Things have really come a long way with stadium limitations. Yes. And you know what that starts with, though? It starts with fans. I mean, Vaught-Hemingway is not built to trap in noise. The fireworks and all the in-game experience and stuff is really cool, but you can shoot off fireworks for a bunch of people that aren't willing to get into it, and it doesn't matter, right? That when I first moved to Mississippi, Vaught-Hemingway Stadium was sleepy, even for big games. It was almost like the fans didn't know how to impact the environment, and I don't know what has changed, but it seems like to me the fans have figured out that, hey, wait a minute, I can actually – sorry, I hit the table, by the way. This microphone sits on the table. Our radio microphones come from overhead, so I can hit the table. So it's a bad habit, I know. It's very annoying for the podcast listeners. But Ole Miss fans, I think, have figured out almost en masse. It can still be better, but hey, I can actually impact the outcome of this game. And you see that and feel that. In Arkansas, their defense sucks, but it's SEC money. I think the Ole Miss defense will improve, but nowhere close to last year. I agree. Do you think Arkansas is a bowl team? I do too. If they get burned again, this time by Retzlaff, the concern will grow. And not only will it grow, it will be because Oklahoma's got a talented runner. South Carolina does. If Florida's engaged by then, I mean, you've got a lot of issues. If you can't make adjustments and shut Retzlaff down to some degree, like Trinidad, but he looks small. He's not too small, but I hear you. Hopefully his body can hold up. Would hate to see what the third string looks like. Yeah. How is Tulane's defense? Would like to see Ole Miss get the ground game going with Chambliss and Lacey. The wide receivers have to be an automatic mismatch. The offensive line should also have a good opportunity. I think Tulane's defensive front is going to be able to frustrate Ole Miss. I think where Ole Miss will have a big mismatch is on the edges that you mentioned. What about Logan Diggs at running back? I'll be honest. We've gotten that question every stream. I don't understand what the angst is there. I mean, maybe it's just scar tissue from last year. Sorry, dog hair all over me now. I don't understand what the angst is because Lacey has been awesome, and Taylor, especially in pass pro, was good. So I don't know what more you could ask for out of your running back position right now. Is Tulane my G5 pick? Yes. Either Tulane or USF. UNLV did get also a power win. It's one of those three. Kind of funny to think about it. The offense sort of won the game last week for Ole Miss in a competitive game. When is the last time you could say that? LSU 2023? The offense was good in the Peach Bowl as well, but last year they won a lot of games on defense, man. Arkansas last year. So there's a few mixed in there. But I'd love to see Andrew Jones get a chance at some point. Was one of the bigger names, got in the portal and haven't heard from him since. I don't think that he acclimated the way that they were hoping that he would, but we'll see. Could you imagine if Nico left UCLA in the middle of the year? He can't do that. Nobody would touch him. He wouldn't have very many suitors, if any, at the end of the season. But right now, nobody would even take the phone call. Chambliss having another year of eligibility. We will wait until January for that. He made himself a lot of money Saturday. Regardless, yes, he did. Could I see Tulane and Memphis in a bigger league soon? Maybe Tulane. I think Memphis has tried everything. Maybe Tulane, but the Big 12 should hold out and wait for the ACC to just completely disband. Was impressed by Arkansas's offensive line. Apparently, that was where most of their NIL money went to. Sure looked like it. Regardless, the Ole Miss D line needs to get better as they go and stay more disciplined as well. I think South Carolina's completely screwed. I do too. Really starting to miss that defense from last year. They were really, really special, man. They were really special. You think Disney screwed Ole Miss over in regards to the time slot next week, barring the win Saturday? You'll have 3 versus potentially 10, both undefeated. That series gives great finishes. 2:30 ABC is an absolutely awesome time slot. I know people want games to be played at night. I understand that. I really do. But 2:30 ABC, it'll be a huge TV number. I think 2:30 is the perfect kickoff time, personally. But that's just me. No, if that was an 11 a.m. game, we would talk about, quote unquote, getting screwed over. But no, I don't think it's a bad thing. Remember, that was the game of the week at that time slot. Now, with ABC having a night game too, it's not this week, of course. But no, I don't think it's a problem at all. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. The golden hour. Vaught Hemingway looks so good in the golden hour. It's the colors, man. I don't know. Something about it. It'll look great and it'll sound great. It's still a bridge year in most aspects between 24 and 26. Ole Miss shouldn't need an elite defense to make the playoff, but they need it to win beyond that. Yeah. Just getting in would be an incredible accomplishment. At the very least, they could put Ole Miss LSU as game day. I have heard. Now, I don't think they do this for one place. I do think they make preparations for more than one, but I have heard that there has been some preparations for the possibility of game day coming to Oxford. So there you go. Buying up some spaces that they need for hosting college game day. So, got to beat Tulane for that to be a thing, though. I think Arkansas is much better than people give them credit for. After that loss, they'll win some games they shouldn't, including Notre Dame in 2 weeks. Really think LSU is gettable? They're absolutely gettable. Can't run the football, kind of bad up front, little banged up as well. It's the sneakiest rivalry in college football. Ain't nothing sneaky about it. Almost needs to score on Tulane. They gave up 31 to South Alabama and 27 to Duke. Not a bad defense, but not anything great either. Definitely not. What happened to Ricky Fletcher last weekend? He's still coming back from injury. Did play. I think he's going to be a full go this weekend. Is the SEC Network an option? I'll be honest with you, James. I don't watch SEC Nation. I just don't. If anything, it'll be College Game Day. I might flip over to Big Noon sometimes, but SEC Nation is the third-rate college football pregame show. You could probably argue it's the fourth rate now that Barstool does a pregame show too. I've never been interested in it. There's a person in particular on the set that I just don't care for their commentary at all, and it's just not for me. It does not move the needle for me at all. Could not care less about. Now, look, you want them, if it's them or nobody, then of course you want them to be on your campus. But I don't care. I don't watch it. I don't care. Sorry for being cynical about that. But even without Corso, game day is still a pretty significant thing. I mean, that's millions of people that will watch that. That is still a significant billboard for your program. SEC Nation doesn't provide that. If Chambliss plays and wins against LSU, how do you ever go back to Austin? Maybe at that point you don't, but I guess it depends on how he plays, right? And but Lane Kiffin to this point has showed quote unquote loyalty to the guy that won the starting job at the start of the season. He endured a 6 interception game and a 5 interception plus a fumble game for Matt Corral, right? I know he brought in Spencer Sanders, but I don't think he likes making changes once he's decided on who the team's quarterback's going to be. It just doesn't feel like that's his MO. Assume game day will go to Oregon, Penn State, and SEC Nation will be Bama, Georgia, so Ole Miss will get nothing. But if Oregon, Penn State is getting big noon kickoff, game day might decide, because college game day should be going to where big noon kickoff is this weekend, or to Illinois, Indiana. But they're going to a game that they broadcast. It's an SEC, ACC game. Maybe the similar concept will happen there as well. So Oregon, Penn State will get big noon, and then college game day would go to, in theory, would go to Oxford. So Diggs is waiting on LSU. No, they're not saving him for that. It's just, I think he's just behind the other two right now. Could see Georgia, Ole Miss getting game day. Yeah, but that's in Athens. I hear you, though. Does Kentucky finish at the bottom of the league? Yes, I think so. So Ole Miss got logged for a flip of Jace Matthews. Not holding my breath of that, to be honest. I'm not either. Long way to go till signing day. Do I think Chambliss can beat LSU? I do think he can beat LSU. I do. I think that LSU game is going to be low scoring. We'll get to that next week. But I to this point, have not been impressed with LSU at all. And now Nussmeier has some kind of ailment. So, what uniforms would you like Ole Miss and Tulane to wear? Oh, that's a good question. So I think Ole Miss next week needs to go powder red gray is what they need to do next week. So this might, even though it's going to be so hot, I think I would navy gray is what I would do this week, I think. And for Tulane, their powder helmets, white is what I would do. Think they could wear white at home against LSU and force them to wear purple. I guess they could in theory, but 2:30 slot pre-gaming and post-gaming in the Grove makes for an all-time day. And for the people that can't stay, that drive up and drive back, that's the perfect time. Yeah, I know. They did both Big Noon and College Game Day for Ohio State, Texas, but remember that was Corso's last headgear, and he started his headgear with Ohio State in Columbus. And also that was, 1 versus 3. There was no other truly, I guess they could have gone to LSU, Clemson, I suppose, but at least with, in theory, an undefeated LSU and an undefeated Ole Miss both being in the top 12, you can justify that move, right? I don't know. At what point in the season could you see Has getting involved in the offense? It's a good question. That's a very good question. You don't see Ole Miss getting game day? They may not, but I know that there is some level of preparation. Again, they do it at multiple places, but it's certainly being considered heavily. But on Has, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, he only played one snap after coming back from injury last week, and it was the kneel down. So, LSU uniforms, powder, red, gray is what they should be. Anyway, that's what they should be. All right, guys, I got to run. Went later than I was hoping, but that's okay. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you on Thursday night, and talk to you then.